you go.
Okay. So I'm Rochelle Schwartz, and I also have been coaching for 24 years through the Ford Institute. And it's been such a journey to see people's transformations.
So I just call ourselves, myself and Rochelle, and even you, Alicia, to some degree, the light bridge builders.
Welcome. And we are so excited to be here, right?
Another Wednesday with Together We Rise podcast.
And the bottom line is why we created this is because of really wanting people to learn about other people's stories and what they have learned and through their trials and their tribulations. And I really think that once people hear different stories, it inspires them and it helps them to say to themselves, you know what, if they can do it, she, he, whoever, I can do it as well. And I think that's so, so important. And that's why I believe that's why it came to us to do that. And so we welcome all of you tonight. Alicia.
And we have the most amazing, so I'm Alicia Schwartz. And I am a relationship coach for over 24 years. Mm-hmm. Again, certified by the Ford Institute. And again, we are so excited to be here just to share and bring guests that go through all their trials and tribulations and how they get through the other side. So we have some amazing people. And tonight...
Can I introduce myself?
Oh, you didn't introduce yourself?
No, we're very informal here, by the way. I just want you to all know
I thought you already introduced yourself.
No, it's okay. I gave it to you first. Age before beauty.
There you go.
Okay. So I'm Rochelle Schwartz, and I also have been coaching for 24 years through the Ford Institute. And it's been such a journey to see people's transformations. And I believe in my heart that it always comes back to forgiveness, self-love, and self-care, no matter what it is. And so with a huge open heart, we can't wait to introduce this incredible lady. I adore her. She has helped me in many, many, many ways.
And we go back many years.
Yes. And so let's introduce our friend with no further ado.
We welcome Connie. Woohoo!
Hey, Connie.
Thank you, ladies. You guys crack me up. You talk about dynamic. I have to say, you're so dynamic in your authenticity and your hearts. I just have to say, there's just what's not to love about this dynamic duo, right?
Thank you, Connie.
You're so welcome.
We feel the same about you.
Yeah, we sure do.
I hope so, because it's just like mirror, mirror, right? We're all
right.
Like, yeah, we come as our most brilliant self, and remember how our best dear friend Debbie used to say, you come as a hot mess or your brilliant self. We take it.
And it's all welcomed.
Yes.
It's all welcome. I love it.
Welcome, without a doubt. Yes, it is.
So why don't you just introduce yourself, and then we pick a card, and so we'll read that, and then we'll go into some questions to ask, and you could share away.
Okay, great. Well, I've been on this spiritual journey for decades, and I'm going to age myself like all of us, but it's a lot. And the reason I say that is because I see a lot of people stepping on the spiritual path right now, and they're not going through the heartache and as much of the trials and tribulations, and the path is also accelerated. So I just call ourselves, myself and Rochelle, and even you, Alicia, to some degree, the light bridge builders. We've been building this bridge of light for decades, and I started my journey, back in the 80s, and it was with A Course in Miracles. And that wound me around into meeting Marianne Williamson, who kind of led me to Debbie Ford. And ultimately, I didn't know this was what I was meant to do. However, when I was a child, teaching was always something I did as play, when I was in my imagination. And so I find myself now really sinking deeply into being the teacher. And it's drawn me to teaching people just the tools and skills and the balance of what I've been able to learn in my own life to help me have a connection and a direct communication with what I call spirit or source guidance.
Mm.
And I think everything I've done has led me to where I am right now. So I'm in the perfect place. And it also happened to have me meet the two of you, I think well over almost 15 years ago. We're going on 20 years.
Long time.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was 2005, 2006. So I do feel that there's this place for all of us, and we're one great big family now. But I am a coach, so to speak, but I'll say I'm more of a spiritual mentor, a channel for divine wisdom, and that is what I teach and hold groups and teachings and workshops in now.
Wow, that's amazing. And you know, because we know you as a coach. You're always a coach, right? No matter what. And then I know as you were in through your trainings and coaching, this kind of birthed out of you, which is the other part of you that you're doing today.
Right. And I actually shall say that the shadow work, Debbie, was always rooted in spirit.
Yes.
I found the shadow work to be some of the most deeply spiritual work that I've ever done. And she was always bringing us back around to God, the God I am, and prayer and surrender and forgiveness and all those tenets of a spiritual existence. So I find her path, she was a spiritual, she channeled, there were many times I would watch her in those rooms teaching for weekends, and I would look at her and you could see God source flowing right through her.
Yeah, that's true.
A resonance in the room that we would be in, if we were on a boat or in a ship, and everyone would be in that God presence, and it would be like a pin. You couldn't hear a pin drop because it was so palpable.
Yeah. I remember experiencing that with all of us in those rooms 15 years ago. And here we are now, all of us out on our paths doing our spiritual work, because I feel my life now is my spiritual work. It's no longer something I do, it's something I am.
Correct. That's very true. That is so true.
Said.
Yeah.
I love how I just have to ask you, when you, being a coach always, when did you get that I have to just to shift
your direction?
Her direction, but into what you do today?
Well, I mean, it's a journey, right? And we're always adding tools to our toolbox. And I will say that's how I bumped across and sort of stumbled across shadow work. I was doing all this deep spiritual work with the Course in Miracles, and yet there was still this feeling inside of me that wasn't right. I didn't feel at peace. I didn't feel that holistic peace that I knew existed. And I was chasing that, I guess. And so the book fell off the proverbial shelf, right at my feet. I picked it up. I opened it up. It was like, oh my God, she's writing this book to me. And I think that the shadow work was the catalyst for me to start to really pull off all the shame, guilt, remorse, denial that I had as a human. I've never felt like I fit in. I've always felt a little awkward. I am also a highly sensitive person. So, that means I'm, an empath, and I'm susceptible to feelings. I can feel what others feel. And as a child, you're like, what is this? It was so excruciating and painful to live a life where you felt everything and nobody there to explain it to you. So I did what many do. I drank and did drugs over it to anesthetize, to numb out those feelings that I had. Well, that didn't lead me to a very good place. No, that leads you to a place where you're unhealthy and you're not, and you're even feeling less about yourself, right? You already have that syndrome. It's like, my goodness, this just piles it on even more. Who needs that? So by way of course, I entered into this, but I always knew at the root of everything was my spiritual connection. That's what I felt as a child sitting in church, where I would say, that's not true. And the Catholic Church bishop or priest would say something. And it's like I always knew there was something more. And I believe spirituality is the essence, the core, the origination of who we are. We come from that spark of divine. And this whole human experience is to heal anything that's in the way from not only yourself, but humanity that gets in the way from you knowing and being that in yourself. And so that's my journey. And the shadow work was simply the experience for me to, shake off the shackles, the shame, the guilt, the remorse, the denial, my story. Remember all that work we did around,
Yes.
and become and own my story. I'm no longer ashamed. I was a drug addict. I was, an unwed pregnant mother, all these things in my life now that are just that. They're just experiences that I had, and they no longer carry all that baggage, all that just that gunk.
Do you remember, I mean, from the beginning, how intense it was to just hold that down and hide it and deny it? And now you're like so free. It's like, oh, okay. It doesn't even
there's
land.
No charge.
There's no charge on it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's no charge and there's no remorse. And we're actually, I think that there's some pride and there's actually I'm a survivor, that feeling. And I do see generations now coming into channeling work and their spiritual connection without all those shackles, without all that. They sort of come in unencumbered and saying, I am who I am. Embrace my weirdness and my awkwardness and my strangeness. And I think it's actually, a good thing to be different.
Yeah.
People embrace differences more.
So the question I have to ask you, what's the one thing that you would want people to know about Connie?
Well, I think I just said it. I'm a survivor. And I feel now that I can fully embrace and step into myself in this human form as a spiritual being who is becoming enlightened. And that's really, to me, the essence of why we're here, is to evolve ourselves so that we can lead others in that spiritual evolution.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, you go. Go ahead.
Do you find that by doing all of this inner work that you've done over the years, that it filtered into your family?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. No question. I have 3 children, and I have to say, I often apologize to my oldest, saying, I wish I would have known, because there's 11 years between the 2 of them. And in those 11 years, there was a lot of exponential growth. And I say to my son, I apologize to him too, but he's the youngest, but he got the benefit.
Yes.
Yeah.
He says to me always, like, Mom before shadow work, Mom after shadow work. It's like life just did a whole 180 and everything shifted and everything changed. And so I do. I make amends to my children all the time. Both of my daughters have been through the shadow work. And, to this day, they know themselves in a way that I can love them for who they are rather than who I think they need to be or should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's such a gift because then they get to give it to their kids,
It's
right.
I see my oldest, I only have one who has children. I see her. She's such an incredible mother. And my heart just melts when I see her mothering her son, and the patience and the love and the care, because he's an empath too. He's a feeler. So he's got some sensitivity stuff that he's going to have to navigate in his life.
Yeah, I get it. So if you were going to give someone the best advice in life, knowing all that you know today and your past and all of it, what would it be?
Well, my best advice is through my own personal experience, is develop a relationship and a connection with your higher self and your divine guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Because that relationship is paramount to everything that you are, why you exist. It will give you the breadcrumbs to your lineage. It will help you understand your soul's path. Mine happens to be very, very connected to the Christ lineage, the Christ path, with Jesus and Mary Magdalene and all those characters we know from the Bible. But there are galactic people, galactic lineages. There's Egyptian gods and goddesses. There are, ascended masters, and then the angelic realms as well. So doesn't necessarily mean channeling is only woo-woo angels and ascended masters.
Right.
All kinds of lineages that you can find yourself involved in.
And what would you say to somebody that, is like you? And I know I'm an empath as well. What would you say to somebody that's, just like not knowing what that is, or just, again, being sensitive but not knowing how to use it? What would the advice be to those people out there? Because they could be listening to this and, we'll get something out of that. So what would you?
Well, the first thing I would really caution people to do is don't make yourself wrong. Don't make yourself the bad guy in this. And so often empaths will, or HSPs, or whatever you want to identify them as, will say, something's wrong with me. What's wrong with me? Why are they looking at me that way? Why are they talking about that about me?
Right.
And that's the first thing is don't make it about you. Remember that adage that we used to hear over and over? It's like, what other people think of you is none of your business.
Yeah. Correct. Dan, you're important.
Yeah, exactly. What you think of you is everything. So start to really build. And I think, Rochelle, you made reference to it, is that journey to self-love, that inner journey. And that is the spiritual path. And with that, you become in alliance, allegiance, and partnership with your divine. And those are the non-physical sentient beings that do exist. I like to say this stuff is real. It's probably more real sometimes in the life we're living. But once you do that, you feel you have, I do at least, a solid foundation of a navigation point, a barometer that stabilizes you when things get really crappy. And, we don't do this work for when everything's great. I feel great. I can go out and travel the world. It's when you hit those walls, you hit those places of deep darkness or depression or anxiety or whatever the emotions are that are coming up in a particular experience.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah.
And, knowing that you are where you are today and you can look back at your youngest self, right? I'm sure we can play around with that for a while, but what advice would you give today to your youngest self?
Yeah, boy, she was a troubled child. She needed a lot of attention and guidance. And, teaching that, this is part of what we're talking about, is that we have, had the wherewithal of having decades of this training to now know better. I think parents know better, kids know better. I would sit down and talk to myself. I would, really listen from my heart and have a direct communication about feelings and, use some of those tools that we have available to us now about, what's underneath, the hurt. The anger might be there, but what's underneath that? The sadness might be there, but what's underneath it? What's driving it? And I would have those conversations, and I would allow my younger self to, this is a big one. It's kind of parents and caregivers and even husbands and boyfriends and all that. They want to fix us.
Yeah.
As empaths, there's a constant desire to want to say, well, let me make it better. Oh, stop your crying. There. How can I make it better?
Yes.
Sometimes you just need to cry it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to flail on the bed and just say, and just pound the pillows and say, it hurts.
Yeah.
And process those emotions. I think for me, I would allow my younger self to have the freedom and the environment to process without shaming or making me wrong.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. Yeah.
It's so perfect because on the Today Show, and I hope I get the name right, it's being tested in a school, and I think it's called the whole being or the whole person or something like that. And what they're doing is, I think it's once a month. They come together in a circle.
Yeah.
The teacher is involved.
Yeah.
Right.
And
was it the sharing circle, the feeling circle?
I don't know, but they close their eyes and I guess they kind of put them in a grounding position, and then they start to share.
Yeah.
Their feelings, their emotions.
And I tell you, they interviewed 3 boys because I found this fascinating.
Yeah, sure.
And what they're learning is it's okay to be vulnerable. And it's okay to cry.
Right.
And I thought, oh my God, it should be a mandatory thing in the school system.
How long ago we were learning spiritual and emotional education?
Oh my God.
Being able to share your feelings now, thank God.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's really important. And I do know with what's going on in the external and the school shootings and the no place to express all those feelings. That's all those kids are doing when they go out. They don't have any outlet for all of
Right.
their
Right.
emotions, and so it comes out in these monstrous, horrific, very violent ways. But more schools, I know, at least where I live, and I live in California, they're investing. They're spending huge amounts of money in investing in emotional health of children, giving them the counseling that they need. I myself taught over COVID, because COVID was such an interrupter for so many kids, including my grandson. I taught mindfulness studies to kindergarten through second grade.
So great.
Just being able to say, what do you do when you're feeling strong emotions? First of all, what are emotions? What are emotions?
Right.
And then when you have those strong emotions, what do you do with them? And there were breathing techniques and counting techniques. And to this day, I see my grandson occasionally, when he gets really frustrated, soccer or with his little sister, he'll stop and, I'll see him through the mouth, and he does his little finger thing. I have him do the finger tapping where it's 1, 2, 3, just to slow it down. And these are lifelong tools and traits that we need to be teaching our kids, absolutely, at a much younger age.
That brings when you're sharing that,
It's
it brings
so
up a
interesting.
story.
Yes.
When my niece was growing up, and
She was about 5.
She was 5 years old, and we were telling her that it's okay to just share your feelings, and if you're feeling angry, you can get down on the floor and hit the pillow and just let it out, healthy. And
right.
And then something happened with my sister and my niece, and they had a little argument or something. And what Rachel did was she said to my sister, right? Then she
went into her room.
She went into her room and said, I need a timeout or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Her room, and she sat in her rocking chair.
Yeah.
And she started to just rock back and forth, get out whatever she was feeling. And then
my daughter knocked on the door to see if she can come in. And she said yes. And she said, are you okay? She said, I was just soothing myself.
Oh, that's 5 years old. How precious is that?
Just soothing. Can you imagine?
No.
Oh my!
But she had the language. She had experience. She had some exposure to that being an example for her.
Yes.
And she had the language, which is so important. That's a precious story. That's a keeper.
It is. It really is. And it does. I mean, even no matter when, because I don't know when my oldest daughter, who is this little girl's mom, she just now at 54, she now opened up to journaling and meditating and listening. And it's like, I hear in maybe 2 weeks, a whole different person.
Her energy is completely so funny.
Yeah,
you never know. You never know. It's just never.
Well, we underestimate, we're human beings just in general are so addicted to the go, 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 the flow, flow, flow. We know this ourselves from the work we do. We're not at ease with the ebb, the in-between, the silence. That FOMO, I've turned it into fear of missing out. I've turned it into JOMO. It's the joy of missing out.
I agree. Amen.
I love missing out on things now. Things I used to, scamper around and chase something. I now really resolve myself. I just love having a night to myself with all my spiritual stuff and just praying and just being in that container of love from the Divine Mother. It's just the best thing. And that's shifted for me. Before I was out on the go all the time. Yeah. And I would say, no, I'm happy in my JOMO.
I love it.
I'll make a t-shirt for you, that JOMO, joy of missing out.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. I'm in the joy of missing out.
Yeah. How did things shift for you during COVID? Was there big shifts for you?
Absolutely. I think everybody had. We had a shared experience, a collective experience, and a very individual one. So I personally did not have a lot of suffering in terms of finances or food shortage or housing, crisis in that way. I was very stable. So I felt very blessed that, and in actuality, my business in particular, I had been working on it and building it for so long that when COVID hit, we pivoted to online and it just exploded. That first year, Everyone was hungry, looking for something. We just went, oh my gosh, what's happening? And it felt like a windfall.
Wow.
We had all these people, camped on our doorstep, knocking on our door, and it opened up. We used to do in-person workshops. So we were very tied to the geography, a geographic location, which is limiting for people.
Yeah.
This opened up the door where people from all across the country started coming to us. And my jaw was just like, scrambling to keep up with it. 2021 kind of balanced out. And then this year, everybody's kind of a hybrid now. It's like a half and half.
Yeah.
We don't really know what to do. We're still on Zoom, but the in-person stuff is coming back online.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in that in between, but COVID for me personally, I agree with everybody, all the pundits. It was a slowdown. It was a necessary reset. It taught us a lot about our human behaviors.
Yep.
I know that for me, I've changed some of my ways of being around it. I don't need as much. I'm really into, I get it. We don't need to go, buy, consume.
Yeah.
I really let go of a lot of that, and that I feel that shift is still a work in progress, but it's I don't really shop the way I shopped before. I'm shopping. I love shopping. But I went to Disneyland with my family last week. A couple weeks ago, I took my grandson. I did not buy a single thing for myself. I was shocked. I walked through the stores going, I don't want anything.
Yeah.
I didn't want anything. And my son looks at me and goes, you're not buying it? I go, no, honey, will you buy you something? I had no want. And I was like, that is a weird feeling for me.
Yeah. And I think it's just what you're saying. I think it just has you appreciate life in a whole new way, in a lot of ways. You don't need as much, when you have that slowdown.
Yeah.
Even I noticed for me, I'm not, even in my massage business, I don't work as much as I used to, because it gave me the opportunity to see that was insanity. What I did before was crazy.
Right.
So self-care, and it gave me that level of self-care. Mm-hmm. So.
And that was the big misdirect or misnomer, is that we thought being busy was less important and special.
Yes.
Like, whoa, I got the message finally from Spirit. It was like, no. This is what makes you, whole. WHOLE. This is what makes you whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a question. I'm so curious, because I never spoke to you about this. Like, with all the planets and everything that is like
right now, where we're at
now, can you explain a little bit about Mercury and retrograde and
just kind of what it means
and
how we can use it?
Yeah.
Instead of it using us, you could speak into that a little bit.
Well, this week in particular and this month in particular has been, really challenging, I think. And I think since August, I've noticed a lot of energy upheavals. We had a few eclipses. I don't know if you recall that, in the early part of August, that kind of led us through that August timeframe. And, right now we really have, 6, 7 planets in retrograde right now.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot of fun.
That's a lot. But I think that the important thing to keep in mind about this is that it really is an opportunity for a reset. We were just talking about that through COVID. And with so many planets in retrograde, it's an opportunity. Retrograde just means it going backwards. Kind of the energy is uncoiling. And so it's an opportunity for us to look at more aspects of our life. And that desire for us to really take this into consideration and say, okay, I'm an effect of a lot of this cosmic energy, and what can it do for me instead of how it's going to wreak havoc in my life.
Yeah.
So what we talk about mostly is to evaluate, take your journal out, evaluate different areas of your life. Are you where you want to be in, those important life areas, your relationship, your health, your fun and play, those parts of yourself that you don't give enough attention to? What's out of balance?
Yeah.
And that's what the retrograde timing and period allows us to do is introspection, reflection, and really take into consideration where do I need to make changes in my life.
Now, do you use like, because I know you have the channeling ability to use, right? Archangel Michael, all those different, what do we call angels, right?
Right. Well, the guides and beings that help
I call them
to support us. And I work with a particular lineage of divine beings. They're all sort of in that divine feminine lineage. So think about Sophia, Mother Sophia, who is known to be, you know, the Godhead. She's Mother, Father, God. When we speak of Mother, Father, God, the mother would be the Mother Sophia. And then I work with a emanation that she calls herself Divine Mother, and she's like all of that holds, like the chalice or the womb that holds humanity. And with that is Mother Mary, Isis, Lady Nada. So it's a collective of ascended beings that tend to be more on the feminine side.
Gotcha.
And I have a voice and a relationship with an aspect of that divine feminine that it's like we're two sides to the same coin now. There's no separation. She's saying, I am of that, and I will return to that. And so here in this lifetime, I get to walk in this world as that.
Interesting.
Kind of like you begin, Alicia, to embody those parts of yourself that really are more divine. It's living a holy life.
Nice.
So where does Magdalene come in?
Well, she's an aspect, she's a consciousness of the divine feminine lineage. And again, I'm very aligned with the Christ family. I've had, you know, not to get too woo on us here, but I've had many, you know, ancestral lives. And many of my past lives have been tied to, in some way or another, to that lineage. I remember being, you know, pre-Christ time, before Christ. I was part of that family. I believe I was. I've had experiences that have led me to believe that I am. And so Magdalene is part of my lineage.
Now, do you teach people how to do this kind of work? I mean, yes, you have workshops, right?
I do. We do. I have a partner that I work with, and we work together, and we do what's called spiritual mentoring to help people align themselves with who it is that they're channeling or they're working with. And again, you know, there's like these many different, but the main groupings are, you know, galactic, star beings, ascended masters, angelic. We just talked about Archangel Michael, Raphael, Metatron. That would be the angelic realm. The ascended master realm would be, you know, Buddha, Lord Lantos, Melchizedek, Sananda, Lady Nada, Saint Germain. That would be like the ascended master groupings. And then there would be the Christ family, and then there's all the Egyptian lineage, you know, Thoth and Hathor, and that lineage that comes from ancient Egypt. So we had a class this weekend, and a woman brought through Hathor, and it was just remarkable. It was remarkable. It was remarkable. Like she sat and she felt a presence of someone, and we brought her in, and I saw the pyramids and the dark hair and the crown before she did.
Wow.
But she said it, and there's validation there when you're in this relationship and you see it before they do, or we're seeing it together, because it's in the consciousness, right? And so we're all seeing it as one.
Wow.
But learning to channel has changed my life.
You know? It has.
How has it changed your life, Connie?
Well, it's just brought me into not taking anything so seriously. Channeling is allowing divine love to flow through. We're temporary here. You know, we're not, this isn't a permanent situation. Don't get so caught up in everything here being so hard. You know, that line in the Course in Miracles that you're either going to get there through heaven or hell, and you get to choose, right?
And it's so true, because we do, as human beings, there's this stubbornness to hold on to things and to make it about us, and that's why it's so important to do whatever work it is that you need to connect to something higher, which we were talking about and you were sharing earlier.
Mhm.
And that's why we're here, all of us,
Yep.
to share that there is a pathway beyond that limitation of our humanness that gets in the way of the holiness.
Right. Right. And I subscribe and firmly believe, I've seen it, if not 100 times, that everyone, ladies, is a channel. We're all channeling all the time anyway. We're just not as consciously aware. Spirit is always sending us messages. We're more alive. Think of yourself being in nature. Think of yourself being out in the water. You know, remember I was there a few months ago swimming with the dolphin. It was just like, oh, you know, Spirit is everywhere all the time.
Yeah, that is
It is
true.
really neat.
So you're having a workshop this weekend.
No, actually, it was last weekend. It was last weekend, but we're having another workshop in many workshops. So
how could people get a
and
hold
find
of
you
and find you?
and you know,
because we're going to put this out.
My website is called Angels with an S, angelsemerging.com. And that's where my business partner, my soul and spirit partner, Wendy Gale, and I do our work. And we teach people to channel, and we teach people this life-changing experience, because channeling not only has the ability to heal others, it has the ability to heal yourself. And really, at the end of the day, we know this principle.
Right.
When you heal that within you, you are then more prepared to help others on that healing journey. So it's connecting to the divine. It's finding your lineage. It's finding your own understanding of who it is you're supposed to be working with in the subtle, non-physical fields. Mm-hmm. And then tuning into that and beginning to act upon that. You know, move your life in a way where that soul guidance begins to be more and more a part of your life.
Is that a weekend or is it a day? How is that?
Is it a weekend process, a weekend?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm leaving in a week for, we do those spiritual retreats once a year. So I'm leaving in a week to take a group to the Grand Teton Mountains in Wyoming, which is where the etheric temples of the Ascended Masters are. They say the Saint Germain's temple is there in the Teton Mountains. So we have a lot of activities planned to do that. So when I get back, we have a workshop called Awakening Your Superpowers, your psychic superpowers. It's a 1-day Sunday afternoon on October 30th. And I'd love to offer it to any of your listeners. I'll put the link in the chat.
Perfect.
We normally sell it at $147, and we'll make a special offer for your group at $47. If anybody wanted to come and participate in that. And then that would lead you into our deeper weekend-long study. So it's the 1 day for 6 hours. And then you would lead into a weekend, which is Saturday, Sunday, over 2 months. And then that's the deeper dive of learning how to channel and really becoming a channel. We just finished a weekend where we had people. I mean, Buddha came, Hathor came. Who else came? I think it was Jesus came. And so many beautiful entities that arrived on the scene to work with these individuals. And they all walked away, changed and different. And
it just brings me right back to the cruise ship when we were doing all these meditations, right, with Debbie, and we would see Jesus, or we would, she'd say, call upon your whoever that was, your higher power, your warrior. And it's just so interesting. It always brings me back to that time. It was such a beautiful time.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget being on those cruise ships. That was really that was like 2009. It was early in the decade. That was my real awakening, where I was having all these past life experiences. I remember Rachel standing on the boat in a brown dress, and it was just like, oh my God. And it was instantly ported back to the biblical times, where she was like my sister. We were at the fountain.
Wow.
Chit-chatting away. I remember going to Jerusalem with Debbie and being at the Church of the Sepulchre. And I felt like all of a sudden, all these visions came back to me. So I knew that I was there in some emanation during those times. But that was a big part of my awakening, is seeing those spirits. Remember the orbs?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Real
Oh
pipe.
my
yes.
God.
All
Yes.
Woo!
Yes.
Unbelievable. Oh
It
my
was the
God.
spirits galore, and spirit came to me at that night during that dinner and said, "You've been here before. You're here now. You will pass this way again."
Mm.
I'll never forget that.
I think the Israel trip and going
To Egypt?
to Egypt was
Unbelievable.
that
It
was
was one of the best experiences of
I
my
agree.
life. Yeah.
I agree.
unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
Israel was just so deep in holiness.
Yeah.
That's all I can
was.
say.
Right.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it was. It was bad.
And where we were allowed access to, you know,
Yes.
Yes.
Hebron.
that we got to see and experience that were because of who we were with, and
Yeah.
that was extraordinary. I still get chills because
I remember coming back and I just couldn't be with the world for like weeks.
It took time.
Weeks. It was
It
just
did.
wow. So
And that's when
Yeah.
Malala.
Malala was on the
She
other
was
day.
on today.
Oh, today.
oh my god, oh, we're at the International Day of the Girl is October 8th.
Yes.
Yeah,
And she was
And
on.
she was just saying
that when she had gotten shot, it was 10
10
years ago.
right. So that was when we were on that trip.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it was very timely. And how synchronistic is that this
I
is on the
know.
cusp of the Day of the International Girl. I'm still working with girls in Africa.
Oh my God.
God bless Debbie Ford,
Oh my
who
God.
said, "Connie, you go." You know.
Oh my God. And the beads. I still have beads. Oh
I
my
know we still have the beads from the paper beads that the women make in Uganda.
Yeah.
And I'm still working with Monica Nidiguhabwa. She's actually here in the States right now, the first time since COVID.
Wow.
And we're still helping to support her and her programs of girl empowerment in East Africa. So
Wow.
it just took a part of my heart and ran with it. And I feel so grateful to Debbie to have said yes to that project that then, led me on this journey.
That's so weird. I'm just laughing because the TV outside, the door was shut, and all of a sudden, the TV we muted, okay, and the TV just went on, of course.
Something we need to hear.
Wonder who that could be.
Yes. Somebody has a message.
I just thought you'd like to hear that. That was perfect. Yeah.
But that's part of the spiritual path. And I know we're all getting used to these synchronicities, but this really is the presence of love in our lives that we want to turn toward and not just say, oh, that was nothing. 11, the parking spot. It's like, those are just breadcrumbs to what's available in what spirit wants to offer and give us as our innate spiritual gifts. I mean, greater works than you can do is what Jesus said. And he's here to show us how to be enlightened. And that's the path we're on, in line with our spiritual wisdom.
Yeah. It just makes me laugh all the time. It's like a giggle, because it's funny. I find it to be funny.
Well, you're so tuned in. You have such a great connection to spirit, and I know you acknowledge it. You don't say on the channel, but you get messages all the time, Alicia. I've seen you have messages and say, "Hey, so and so's telling me."
It's true.
It's true.
It is. It's very, very
true. And I've learned to honor that. I've learned to trust it and enjoy it. Like take it and enjoy it because it's fun. To me, it's fun.
Right.
Other people are so afraid, and I just say it's just your human fear. That has nothing to do, because when you're connected to that, there is no fear. There's nothingness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We really are powerful spiritual beings that take it for granted that we have this superpower available to us.
Yeah.
And that's really what my work is now, is aligning people to that connection in them that's there, whether they think it's there or not, it's there.
Yeah.
Wakey.
Exactly. We just say all the time, we're not teaching you anything you don't already know. We're just
That's true.
Tap. Like, let's poke that door open and see what's there.
Yeah.
And then in comes light and love and beauty and magnificence and bliss and joy. And, I don't need all that stuff. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
abundance comes flying in. All kinds of things start to happen in your life synchronistically.
Yeah.
And what about people? I've had people that just
Fly away.
Fly away.
Fly away.
Well, there are a lot of people choosing to use this time
yes.
to transition, to return to the light, including my dad, God bless him, and so many others. And
Yeah.
they're done. They're done with their journeys. And we no longer think of death as loss,
Mm-hmm.
because we can communicate. And how hard Debbie's working on the other side. I mean, she's everywhere and anywhere.
On TV.
Wow.
Turn on the TV. Yeah, she drops things off bookshelves to us all the time and things. So yeah, that's just really living in what I call the vibration and the frequency of light. We
Without a doubt. Oh my God.
So,
Oh my
and how perfect would it be? I have,
yes.
Debbie's book, Your Holiness.
Right?
Right?
Oh, look at that.
Wait, I can't. I hate when that happens.
I know.
You know when that happens? Okay.
Yeah, that's just your filter on the back. But I
Yeah.
know the book.
Okay.
I bought it and I have it and I love the book. I love the simplicity of it, and that's more that's her spiritual stuff.
Yeah, and so we picked one. We just close our eyes and boom.
Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
what came today was the appreciative heart. And so we wanted to read it. And so if you want to close your eyes and just take it in and know how much we love and appreciate you and your spirit and your heart and your soul coming here today with us to share who you are.
And we're so honored
what you're doing in the world, which is huge. So here we go. Dear God, thank you for giving me my body, my hands, my feet, and my heart. Thank you for all the people who are in my life. And thank you for giving me the ability to love, care for, and contribute to others. Thank you for allowing me to grow and evolve, to shed the old and make room for the new. Thank you for my ability to see the new opportunities and to explore new paths. Thank you for giving me the ability to think for myself and, more importantly, to make wise choices. Today, I give thanks for my right to choose new perspectives, new beliefs, new interpretations, new behaviors, new habits, and a new attitude. All God's gifts to me, all free, all accessible at any moment. Thank you, God, for waking me up to how truly blessed I am. May the love that fills my heart right now go out and enter into the hearts of all the people who are seeking in the ones I know and the ones I don't know. May your will be done in all things. And so it is, and it is so.
Oh.
Amen.
Amen. Believe it or not. See, she knew the alchemy of gratitude more than any one teacher I've ever had. And that has passed on to me, is that appreciation and love of what's available to us from the other side.
Yeah.
That's really.
Look at that face.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. We miss her too.
So, we it's so fun because it feels like we're just hanging out in the bedroom.
Old home.
This is what people, are craving, is just to hang out and have this hangout time and to be in human connection without our devices, without all that interference. And I love being in conversation with the two of you. You guys are magnificent. You're dynamic. You're beautiful. You are just sunshine on a cloudy day every time.
Well, you're moonlight in the dark. How's that?
All right. I'll take the moon that you have the sun. I'll take it.
Well, we are so blessed, Connie, to have you.
Thank you.
And we love you with all our heart. We really and truly do.
And please, please, please put in the comments
Yes.
your information so people can find you
Mm-hmm.
and, get what you're offering in this world and help those beings that need you.
Okay.
And we also have a free ebook.
Yes. So whoever wants
it, put it in the comments
Or-
about relationships
or they
between
could
mom and daughter.
DM us
Or they can DM us at
Coach Rochelle. And well, what about people wanting to connect with you? No?
Oh, yes.
You can just connect with me. Don't worry about her. That's not a problem.
You can connect with me too. You can also email me at shadowbstr3@yahoo.com. And you can also find us all over.
Oh, yes. We are all over the world.
All over. There we go.
All right, ladies. I love you.
We love you. Thank you, sweetheart.
Love you.
Love.
I can't do it. There he is.
Ah, there you go.
Love.
We're the Love Shack. The Love
Love
Squad.
you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye, sweetheart.